Bonjour everyone, welcome back to my second channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to stop overthinking forever and how to stop worrying, because I'm the CEO of getting over this. Before we get started, the Trover Trip applications are going to be releasing in 2 weeks. So if you want to travel with me, you want to come to Bali late next August, then make sure you get on the waiting list below. The first 8 people are going to get a significant discount, and don't forget, you're only going to put 25% down. So it's going to be super amazing. I'm going to host 2 workshops on the trip. You're going to be with a like-minded community and it'll be amazing. So go sign up below. What do I define as overthinking? Overthinking is just expelling energy on things that really are out of your control and they don't really matter much, but our body might be stressing about it and signaling to us that we need to think about this more, usually in order to gain a sense of control, number 1, and 2, because we don't feel safe. And I'm going to go into this further. So I have always been a chronic worrier my whole life, and it's because my mum is, honestly, like, she would worry about every little thing. Even if it was insignificant, my mum would go and think about the worst possible outcome, and I adopted this. I was like the CEO of overthinking and worrying about everything. It didn't even have to matter. It didn't even mean that it was going to happen, but I would worry about it. I would ruminate, I would stress, I would cry. I was like really the CEO of this shit, which is why I'm highly qualified to talk about how I got over it, because now I don't think I ever overthink or worry. I will analyze the situation to some extent, but I don't think I expel more energy than necessary on it. So there are a few guiding principles for how I operate, and the number 1 is, I think what will be will be. So if I cannot change it, I do not worry about it and I just get on with it. But I understand, just because something is not going to happen, we still might think, oh, there is a chance it can happen, and I have a strategy for this we'll go into in a little bit. Okay, 2, I rewire my thoughts. I have a 5-step process that I go through every single time I'm stressed about something. Because I'm a psychology graduate, I know how to rewire it. It's called maladaptive thought processes. So you need to rewire that. I will show you how to do that, don't worry. Point 3 kind of relates to point 1, but I have this mentality that if it happens, it happens. I'll deal with it if it happens, and if it doesn't happen, I'm not really gonna think about it too much, okay? And if it does happen, I always have a backup plan. We will get into this, okay? Number 4, if it doesn't matter in 5 years, it doesn't matter now. If you really want to worry about something, because sometimes we just want a feeling of control, do it for 2 days, a week max, and then get over it. 5, if I have time to overthink, my life is boring. I don't have enough going on in my life. I need to do something else, because why do I have the time for this? I think a large part to the reason why I no longer overthink too much is because I genuinely do not have the time. I got a million things going on that are more important than this like silly little situation. Even if it's a big situation, I got other things going on. Personally, I find myself over analyzing, overthinking when I need control over a situation, because say like you got on a bad date and you're analyzing everything. This is a way for you to feel in control. And you know what, I still do this to some extent, but I don't do it beyond like 2 days. So if you really want to do it and like get that sense of control, give yourself a deadline, 2 days, get over it afterwards. And I know myself so well that I need to go through this process, and then I'm like over it. Now there's other things. For example, if you didn't watch my how I changed my life in 1 year video, which I highly recommend, on my main channel, I talked about how I moved to Dubai. And my followers know this. When I go to a new place, I hate it at first. I fucking hate it. I go through every single reason why I hate it. And it's because, number 1, a sense of control. We want to find a sense of control. So I have this strategy I do. Well, when I make a huge decision, I find every single thing that can go wrong at first. And I kind of like get it out of me. So I think of everything that can go wrong. I worry about it then, which, you know, maybe not optimal, but it works for me. I worry about it then. I find the strategy, a solution, a backup plan, how I'm going to handle it. And then a couple of days later, I'm fine. I've adapted. I've got this backup plan at the back of my head. I can relax now. I'm chilling, okay? If you're like really a worrier, you can do that like me. Overthinking also has a lot to do with not being able to trust ourselves. So the more confidence you have with yourself, the more trust you have that you can deal with a problem, handle a situation on your own, and also not go and seek external advice from others who may be giving you bad advice, like the blind leading the blind, you will also stop worrying as much. You also need to find belief in yourself, and a good way to do this is just find a similar situation to what you're worrying about and then see how you handled it. And that will build trust with yourself, because you're here today, you got over it, you obviously did something to get out of that situation. Find proof that you can do it again. And I speak about this in every video, but yeah, the more you know yourself, the easier this is to do. Like, the contrast between me today and me last year is so huge, and it's because this year was really a year of self-discovery and evolution for me. And I really feel like I've been through so many adverse situations and different situations that I can handle anything that's being thrown at me. Now, if you want help with this, I highly recommend going into therapy. We talk about this every video, whether I'm sponsored or not, but therapy is amazing, especially BetterHelp. Thank you, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this video today. BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy service, and they help connect you to the perfect licensed therapist who is there to listen to your needs, give you helpful and unbiased advice, and yeah, whatever you need, they've got it. Starting therapy can be hard, and the right therapist might not be in your area. And some people also find face-to-face therapy quite uncomfortable and confronting. So with BetterHelp, your therapy sessions can actually be over a phone call or video chat or even messaging. Whatever is the most comfortable and convenient type of therapy for you. BetterHelp can match you to over 30,000 licensed therapists worldwide, giving you a wider range to therapists than might just be available in your area. To get started, all you need to do is fill out a questionnaire addressing your specific needs, and then BetterHelp will find you the perfect therapist within 48 hours, and you can start whenever's convenient for you. A lot of people come to me and say, oh, I tried therapy once or twice and like my therapist was bad, and they completely write it off. You have to understand the human factor. Not everyone is made equal. Not all therapists are made equal. Some people are better at connecting with you or understanding you better. It is like dating, okay? The first person you go on a date with is not going to be your boyfriend or girlfriend. Maybe if you're lucky. BetterHelp is great because if you don't like your therapist, you can go and get a new one free of charge to change them. Go get your ROI on therapy. People spend hours at the gym, spend hours on your mind. It's a huge return on investment, you guys. So go join 4 million people who are using BetterHelp to live a healthier, happier life. Use my link below to get 10% off your first month of therapy with BetterHelp. So I'm going to go through very briefly my 5-step process to help rewire my thinking patterns. I've also developed a free worksheet. You guys can download it here, like put it on your iPad, print it out, whatever. But I've used this for the past 5 years, and over time I realized that now when I approach a situation, sometimes I don't even need to write it out. My brain like naturally goes through this. And I found the root cause for a lot of worrying. Like I said before, it's a sense of control, but 2, it is also safety. We might not feel safe. So number 1, I write down, what am I stressed about? So I'm going to give you an example. This was earlier this year when I was solo traveling for the first time. So my friend Kathleen, she was on the first week of the trip and then she left, and I was alone for the first time. And I had all of these emotions come over me, and I was sad and I didn't know why. This is another thing. Sometimes we cannot identify our emotions properly, so you need to write it out. And sometimes journaling's like not enough, or it can be quite all over the place. If that works for you, good, but I find my way is just a lot better. Number 1, I wrote down, what am I stressed about? My fears. I said I'm unprepared to solo travel. I'm scared of not learning anything about myself, or like having outcomes which are not aligned with what I thought they'd be, being alone, like all of these other things. And then you go into part 2, which is, what is the actual reality of the situation? And I wrote the reality. Simone, you have been alone before. So this is where I talk about building that confidence up, reminding yourself that you've been in situations that are similar before. I said, Simone, you've been alone before. You moved to Sydney and Melbourne alone. 2, you were not alone. And then I listed the friends I had in this place. I said, 3, I can go home at any time. 4thly, you're 23, it's not that serious, you're young, okay? You can make mistakes or whatever. And then I was just like, you know, it's just your comfort zone creeping in. I'm super lucky to be in this position, just like little reminders. So this is something you can do. And then I go into number 3. What are the solutions for how I am feeling right now? The solutions, you know, they vary depending on the situation. In this case, it was very dependent on how much I knew myself. So I was like, okay, Simone, you know yourself, you're going to be feeling alone if you stay alone, which you usually do. So solutions, Simone, get out there, go hang out with the people you know in Bali. Backup plan was like, leave, like just fly out of here. A more practical example I'll give you was when I was moving to Melbourne from Sydney. I was just really worried about moving in general. And yeah, so what I was stressed about, moving, like the new experience of moving alone, like don't know what I'm doing. 3, the people who were meant to pick up my boxes didn't, and I had a flight the next day, and I was going, oh my god, like if my boxes aren't picked up, what am I gonna do? Like I really didn't think I had other options. So then I went through this process. It was actually when I developed this. And then I said, secondly, reality of the situation, like you're only going to be in Melbourne for a couple of months. You know, people move all the time. It's a new experience. Like you'll probably have a great time. If not, you're going back home afterwards. And then thirdly, like the boxes are not that big of a deal. Like, we can find a solution for it. And then this is where you go into your solutions. I said, solution, my friend is going to pick up the box. I can change my flight if I really need to. You know, it's things like that. And it really helps put you at ease. If you don't like write out your solutions, your brain is just going to wander and be like, oh my God, like, it's going to be so bad. All of these things are going to happen, but really they probably won't happen. Then we go into the second last part, why I am safe. You need to remind yourself that you are safe, okay? It's not the end of the world. We don't want to catastrophize. I can never say the word catastrophize. So I said, home is 3 hours away. I have my friends at home. I'm 23. I have a community that loves me. Like, things like that, you know. I'm safe. Everything's going to be okay. If the worst of the worst happens, why are you safe? It will put your mind at ease. If everything goes wrong, what do you have left? And then sometimes I'll do closing thoughts, which is kind of like me just talking to myself. So in terms of my solo travel, I wrote, Simone, this is such an exciting time for you. How lucky you are to be alive and to be able to afford doing this and to be able to work from home. Like, you are so incredibly privileged. And, you know, just take this one day at a time. Don't put expectations on it and just try to enjoy as much as you can. So I like to write a little message to myself there. And you'll find this all in the worksheet below. It's free. And yeah, I hope this really helps you guys stop overthinking and worrying. Perhaps immediately in the moment doing this worksheet will help you stop overthinking, and then you immediately go back into this pattern of, you know, maladaptive thought patterns. But you'll find the more you do this exercise, especially when you immediately are able to identify some negative emotion within you and then identify the root of that emotion, over time you're naturally just going to start doing this. Because whenever I feel like something's going wrong, I just go like, it's not that deep. Like, I know that process in my head. I know I'm safe. I know like the worst of the worst outcome and how I can solve that. So it's all about just putting your mind at ease. Just remember, like, if it doesn't matter in 5 years, don't think about it too much. And I also don't like when people say, well, don't think about it at all. Like, it doesn't matter. Sometimes it does matter to us. Sometimes we want to think about it, and I actually allow myself to think about it. Like, I went on an awful date and I just like analyzed that situation for days at a time. Did it waste my time? Probably, but I actually wanted to do it, and I knew myself well enough that I knew like in a couple of days I'd be over it, but I wanted to do it in the meantime, so I did it. I wrote it out. I write everything out. Yeah. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Private community is coming soon. We are building the ultimate community. If you'll automatically be put on the wait list as well when we launch, when you sign up to the Mind Formula, download a worksheet, whatever. So you can opt out of emails at any time. But yes, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and ich liebe dich. Tschüss.